This is Human Meat Shield in the Z-52. Although this particular clip isn't so much about him, as it is about the enemy Yamato over there on the far side of that island. Human Meat Shield is, however, aware that there is a Moskva much closer just on the other side of that island, and a closer target is much easier to hit, less time for him to dodge the torpedoes. So he selects the Moskva as the target, launches the torpedoes. The Moskva has of course seen him, so he drops that smoke screen and starts doing the hippie shake. He is of course inside hydro range. He's getting shot at by a previously undetected gearing for the north, but well, the second the gearing starts opening up, two Ragnars start shooting at him, and that's not a gunfight he's going to win anytime soon. While our attention is distracted by the gearing, however, the Moskva, because he's not a bloody idiot, pressed his W key and dodged all of those torpedoes. Nearly 13 kilometres away now, however, and a good 4 kilometres further on than the Moskva, the target that the torpedoes were aimed at, is our little friend in the Yamato. He's had warning that those torpedoes were coming for the last 4 kilometres, and 2 of them have hit him anyway. They weren't even aimed at him. And it's not as if he can say nobody warned him they were coming. Now, did we just get lucky? Or are we beginning to see a theme developing here? Well, let's skip forward and find out. Sometime later, despite a promising start, Human Meat Shield's team are reduced to just 3 destroyers, 2 of which don't have torpedoes. Now bear that in mind though, not the fact that 2 of them don't have torpedoes, but the fact that they are 3 destroyers. This has been the case for quite a few minutes at this point. More than enough time for anybody on the opposing team, with more than 2 brain cells to rub together, the enemy Moskva for example, to reload the high explosive in order to do maximum damage to thinly armoured targets like destroyers. The Yamato, of course, is still loading armour piercing. Now, I know what you're thinking. Anybody can have a sudden rush of shit to the brain even twice in one battle. That is not conclusive evidence that he's just a mouth-breathing window licker who's failed his way to tier 10. Let's see what happens when we launch some more torpedoes at the Moskva. Well, mouth-breathing window licker it is then. Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles. And today, for your viewing pleasure, we have BlitzTheBritz in the premium Tier 8 German, well, technically I suppose battle cruiser, the Brandenburg. I mean, I say technically, because it's more or less, with a few minor changes and one significant change, exactly the same as the Tirpitz, which he's divisioned up with, and the Bismarck, one of which is present on the enemy team. I should probably go into more detail about those differences, although right now the more astute amongst you have probably noticed that the Brandenburg seems to be featuring a lot more gun barrels than the Bismarck and the Tirpitz, and this is correct. The Brandenburg gets 12 guns in 4 turrets, but they're not the 15-inch guns that you see on the Bismarck and the Tirpitz. If you want to see other German battleships or battle cruisers armed with 12-inch guns, you have to go all the way down to Tier 5 and look at the Koenig or the Derflinger, and the Brandenburg's Tier 8. Despite having significantly more gun barrels than the Tirpitz or the Bismarck, the fact that these are just 12-inch guns means that the Brandenburg has a significantly lower shell throw weight than the Bismarck or the Tirpitz, and that translates to less firepower. At the same time though, it's not quite that simple. While it is true that the Brandenburg has potentially way lower damage per minute output than its sister ships at Tier 8, the Bismarck and the Tirpitz, The Brandenburg is more accurate, so it's going to land more of those shots on target, particularly since it's thrown more in the first place with its extra gun barrels. So while it's true to say that there is a big gap in potential damage output between the Brandenburg here and the Bismarck and the Tirpitz, the effective damage output gap is not quite as big, although the Brandenburg is still worse off. Not least of which because it's also got less range. 18.5 kilometers, which isn't bad, but just to put that into context, it's the same firing range as a Tier 8 Russian cruiser. Unless, of course, that Tier 8 Russian cruiser is the Mikhail Kutuzov, in which case it's less firing range than a Tier 8 Russian cruiser. On the plus side, because she does essentially share the same hull, although with some minor differences, to the Bismarck and the Tirpitz, she is fairly tough. But she has 15% less health. So you can't really bully your way into the front lines in a Brandenburg the same way you can in a Bismarck or a Tirpitz. Or you can, you just can't do it for as long because you'll run out of health first. On the plus side, she is faster. She has a top speed of 32.5 knots. More, probably closer to 34 knots if you equip a speed flag, so that's good. She also has a tighter turning circle with a shorter rudder shift time. All of this makes her better at avoiding torpedoes. And if she fails to avoid torpedoes, she's got better torpedo damage reduction. Enemy destroyers would be well advised to stay at arm's length from the Brandenburg, for exactly the same reasons they'd be advised to stay at arm's length from the Bismarck or the Tirpitz. She features very powerful secondaries. Technically slightly better secondaries than the Bismarck or the Tirpitz, but only slightly. She has 2 more 105mm secondary gun barrels. And of course she also has her own torpedoes, exactly the same as the torpedoes found on the Tirpitz, and a very strong anti-aircraft suite, although obviously not strong enough, because this is World of Aircraft Carriers, although it's transitioning into World of Submarines and nobody has strong enough anti-aircraft defences. I think that about covers it. Basically the Brandenburg is, well, we'll say a Tirpitz rather than a Bismarck, because she has torpedoes and the Bismarck doesn't have torpedoes. So if it helps, you could maybe think of the Brandenburg as a Tirpitz with shitty guns. Although they're shitty for a different reason. Because German battleships in World of Warships, and the Gneisenau now at Tier 7 is a shining example, they're not exactly known for the accuracy of their main battery guns. So, if you were in, for example, the Tirpitz or the Bismarck, you'd be no stranger to the frustration of unloading a salvo from your main battery guns and watching shots from the same turret land 300 metres apart. You don't get that in the Brandenburg. The Brandenburg, you fire more shots, more often, and more accurately. You just get a lot more ricochets. You'll note that BlitzTheBritz, even though he's got a fair amount of Amagi belt to aim at there, is aiming for the superstructure instead, because he's got more chance of actually doing some damage. You'll also note that he's not using the 2 rear turrets, despite the obvious firepower advantage that would give him, because the firing angles on those 2 rear turrets are absolutely terrible, and if he were to expose sufficient broadside to bring those 2 rear turrets into action, that Amagi's 16-inch guns would absolutely murder him. Looks like the Amagi anticipated the torpedoes, and it's going to come down to a drive-by. Now at this kind of range, these 12-inch rifles get the job done on anybody's broadside. However, look at all the health that he lost doing it. And the Nagato over there has 16-inch guns as well. Also, let's not forget the enemy destroyer on his starboard beam. Not quite sure what the reload on the Jervis's torpedoes are, but it's not going to be that long. Oh, the Nagato picked the wrong moment to turn and get out of there. This is going to hurt. Yep, there it is. Well, it looks like the Jervis has problems as well, although Jervis versus Fubuki in a gunfight, my money is on the Jervis, but then again he's getting hammered by secondaries as long as the Fubuki is alive and spotting him. And the Nagato is having all kinds of problems. Yep, he's done. So now, and yeah, the Jervis won the gunfight against the Fubuki fairly easily, but he's suffering for as long as he remains spotted and coming under fire from these secondaries. And oh, here we go. This is what strong anti-aircraft firepower looks like. One aircraft shot down before they drop their torpedoes. Don't worry, I'm fake laughing. Only the tears are real. Oh, shots out against the West Virginia. It's only a tier 6, but these are only 12-inch guns. Yep, 1 shatter, 2 bouncers. That, unfortunately, is something that you just need to get used to in this ship. On the bright side, since you do only have a 26-second reload, probably less than that now with Adrenaline Rush taken into consideration, by the time your shells have bounced off the target, usually going to be ready to have another go. And unlike the Gneisenau, the Tirpitz or the Bismarck, there's a decent chance that you will actually hit. Well, that was a hit. I think he vastly overestimated how fast the West Virginia was going there. And I think the West Virginia is also turning, and that will drastically reduce its speed. So not quite as much lead this time. Shots out once again. Can we get a kill this time? He's also inside secondary range. Oh, come on. Come on. We need to watch out. The West Virginia is on with 16-inch guns. But it didn't take much damage from it. The secondaries are still working it over. In fact, there's a lot of enemy ships there on low health. Well, the secondaries are working over the West Virginia, but the Badioni as a light cruiser is far more likely to suffer catastrophic damage, and it's only going to take 1 hit. And oh, you've got to be kidding me. Oh, wait, no, the secondaries got the West Virginia. But they're still going. Come on, is this going to be a double strike? You have to nail another kill within 10 seconds. Not a double strike, but it is 2 secondary kills. Look, I'm trying to talk up the Brandenburg's accuracy here. But that salvo Badioni is not making my life any easier. Right, Bismarck. And Blitz is on kind of low health here, although he's just popped a heal, but he's given an uncomfortable amount of broadside there. He's trying to turn in, but he's slow, and oh, well, that could have been a lot worse. There's an enemy destroyer in that smoke screen over there that was being subjected to the secondaries, but now there's nothing in secondary range other than the Bismarck. And oh, the Bismarck is turning it. I'm going to have to see here. I mean, that's a lot of shots. And it was a reasonable amount of damage. Unfortunately, Blitz's ship has 15% less health than the Bismarck to begin with. He started this fight on 28,000 health. The Bismarck started this fight with 40,000 more health than he did. But he's not given angles in the way that the Bismarck is. Nice flat broadside to shoot at there, but he's unlikely to see big damage numbers because the Bismarck is next to impossible to citadel at these kind of ranges. I mean, the Brandenburg is too. They both have the same turtleback armour arrangement. They both... oh, that was a big hit. Oh, this is not looking very good. He's taken hits from the Bismarck secondaries. He managed to dodge the torpedoes, and here come the skip bombers. Don't worry, I'm sure his strong AA will help him. Yeah, he managed to shoot one of them down after it had dropped its bombs. That'll teach the carrier to keep its distance. Oh crap, look at his health. He had to burn his damage control. The skip bombers set a fire. Or possibly it was the Bismarck secondaries. I'm not entirely sure. Look at that health bar. Oh, he's got a chance here. Oh, wow. Well, I was about to say, good news, the Bismarck just pulled a 180, which meant that only its rear turrets were able to fire. His heel's back up, but, well, don't forget the green bar. It doesn't indicate how much health you have. It indicates the health that can be healed. He needs to kill the Bismarck, or the Bismarck is going to kill him. Blitz was down to less than 300 health, within range of a Bismarck's secondaries. And the carrier, instead of coming in to finish him, is launching skip bomber attacks against the Dallas. To be fair, the Dallas is actually within firing range of the carrier, and the carrier probably quite logically assumed that the Bismarck had this. Spoiler alert, he didn't. Although we might finish him yet. There's a fire burning. Damage control is on cooldown. You keep an eye on the carrier while Blitz lines him up for a shot. I'm going to keep an eye on his health bar. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. There goes the damage control. 153 health. I think the carrier may be interested now. Yep, he's coming in again. Torpedo attack. Don't worry. Your strong AA will stop him. There goes the carrier. There's the Kraken unleashed. He just scored a Confederate. Here come the torpedoes. Ooh, is there enough space? There is enough space if he slows down. Yeah, he's got it. He's got it. I don't know how, but somehow he managed to survive that on 153 health with no heals remaining. There's just an enemy submarine left. His team have all 3 of the caps. There is no danger whatsoever that his team are going to lose this. Well, I mean, you know, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. I've seen worse throws, but I don't think we're going to see that today. There are friendly ships all over the submarine. It probably can't kill all of them. No matter how hard Wargaming buff them in order to achieve that magical 8% popularity figure. I'm pretty sure that we're good. And I'm equally sure that Blitz is not interested in chasing the submarine. Come on, team. You've got this. Any time today, team. No rush. It's not like we've got a Kraken Unleashed riding on this or anything. Come on. We don't have all day. It's one submarine. They haven't lost him, have they? We're not going to be here all day waiting for them to get that sub. No, we're not. They got him. So, an interesting game there for BlitzTheBritz. Akazuki, what did you think of that one? Yes, he was cutting it rather fine towards the end there, wasn't he? Yes, 153 health, I know. Talk about pushing your luck. Well, I hope you all enjoyed it. Akazuki certainly did, although I think she might need feeding. So that's it from me for today. And as always, take care, stay safe, and I'll catch you next time.